Good evening and welcome everybody to this quick workshop on using Claude inside Excel for finance and FP&A. So we don't say the term AI is coming anymore, right? So AI is already here and it is impacting every step of the work that we are doing. And the way we are going to use Excel, the way we are going to use tools like PPT or any Google Slides or any tool for that matter is going to change forever. And Claude is making sure that it is much easier than what it was before. And that's what today's agenda is. So we'll understand a little bit about Claude and the latest developments and how Claude can be added in Excel. So we look at some installation basics to see how Claude can be used inside Excel. And then we look at multiple use cases specifically for finance and FP&A, financial modeling, and some other use cases that Asif and I have planned. And then, of course, we can take any questions in the end about your FP&A career, about your finance career, or AI's impact in finance in general. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting session, about 45 to 50 minutes of content that we'll be sharing, and then we'll open for Q&A. And make sure that you stay through till the very end because you're also getting some bonuses. You will get a pack of 20 use cases along with the videos, practice data sets, and everything of how to maximize using Claude with Excel in finance and FP&A. So it's going to be an interesting session. So get rid of all the distractions for the next 45 to 50 minutes. Focus completely on the screen. So let's get started. A little bit about us. My name is Dhawal Parvatikar. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I've also completed my one-year general management program from IIM Ahmedabad. Over the last 16 years, I've served as a CFO and a finance leader in the Middle East and India, and I'm now the co-founder and lead faculty at FP&A Professionals Institute. Over the last 6 years, I've been an active online instructor. I've trained more than 5,000 professionals on various topics like FP&A, finance business partnering, finance leadership, AI, CFO career coaching, and much more. I'm frequently seen across events in the Middle East as a speaker, as a moderator, as a panelist. You'll always see me in some of the other events across the Middle East. I've also built a vibrant CFO community of more than 250 CFOs now. We meet every quarter, exchange ideas to see what the future of finance talent looks like. I'm also joined by my co-founder Asif Masani, who's the Claude master here today. Asif, a quick introduction from your end.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dhawal, for having me here. So a little bit about me. I've been in finance, working very specifically in FP&A for more than 10 years now. And the most recent role I was before we started FP&A Professional Institute was the head of FP&A at APAC for one of the largest edtech companies. So it has been a long 10 to 12-year journey where I started as an FP&A analyst back in 2013 and then became FP&A manager and all the way to the FP&A head of the function for one of the regions. So that's a little bit about me. And over the last 3 years, what we have done is we have tried to bring in not just our experience and expertise in FP&A, but experience and expertise of top FP&A experts across the globe. And we do that through our whatever we do at FP&A Professionals Institute, whether it be books, podcasts, videos, webinars, courses, certifications, so whatever we do at FPI, try to bring in FP&A experience, which is not documented otherwise, from top FP&A professionals. And over the last 3.5 years now, we have trained more than 5,000 students. I think the number is outdated. Maybe it's across 6,000 by now. So trained more than 5,000 students across all of these courses and certifications that you see on the screen. So happy to partner with you, Dhawal, and good to have this Claude webinar today.
Awesome. Thanks, Asif. Everybody, will also talk about the Certified Global FP&A Professional Program, which is our flagship 6-month certification program in FP&A. We'll talk about it in the end as well. So those interested can stay back in the end. Make sure that you are also here till the end to claim the bonuses that we shared, which is a use case pack on Claude. Awesome. Asif, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Dhawal. So with I'm sure you must have heard about this a couple of months back, where on first week of February, I remember there was a sudden drop in stock prices of all the tech companies across the globe, and there was trillions of dollars wiped out from these IT companies and the stock market overnight because of the introduction of Claude and the Claude's new version, which was supposed to automate a lot of functions, including finance. So, what we were doing until then, I believe until January and February beginning, which was a couple of months back, was I was heavily using ChatGPT, and with that development, quickly switched and migrated to Claude, and Claude has been much more powerful, especially in the finance workflows that we have noticed in the past couple of months. So that is what we'll be talking about, my experience and our experience of using Claude for the last 1.5 months or so, and we'll try to bring in a lot of case studies and also a lot of practical use cases that we have been seeing and we have been using in our lives. So that's a little bit about the today's webinar. If you can go to the next slide. Are you around? Yeah. So first of all, before we get into Claude, let me just quickly show you. Some of you may not have used Claude before, so it's a fairly straightforward tool. But let me just quickly show you how do you access it. Let me just go and share my screen. So this is how it looks like. The login page is the Claude.ai website. And once you land on this website, you can create a Claude account very simply, just like you create an email account. You can either use your email to create the account, or you could use the Google account. And once you do that, and once you log into the your Claude account, you will see three options. So you will see an option. So let me just try and show it to you. So let me just use one of the emails. So let's say you are signing into the Claude account. So once you do that, you will see this page where you need to agree with Claude's policies, and you can subscribe to its promotion emails. Let me just say create an account. Okay, let me agree to the terms and conditions. Okay, so it'll ask you to verify your contact number. Once you do that, so I'm not going to do this because I already have a Cloud account. So once you verify your contact number, you will go to a page where it will show you an option to upgrade, where there will be three different tiers. So the first tier would be the basic tier, which is free to use with a lot of limitations, and then the two tiers are the Pro and the Max. So what we have been using over the last 1.5 months is the Pro tier, which is about $20 a month that I pay, and that has been fairly sufficient with a lot of heavy usage that I do. So I assume I've been using Claude very heavily, more than maybe 2 hours a day over the last 1.5 months. And the Pro subscription has been fairly sufficient, although sometimes I end up hitting the usage limits, but it's been overall fairly sufficient. So once you create the Claude account, then the next thing is the Excel add-in inside your Microsoft Excel. So you need to install the Claude Excel add-in. So let me show you that as well. So the Claude subscription has a free tier. So let me just take one question in the chat box. Is the Claude subscription free? So it does have a free tier. However, the free tier has a lot of limitations. So if you want to do any meaningful work, especially in Claude, the free subscription is not sufficient. And especially if you want to use the Excel add-in, the free subscription does not allow you to download or install the Excel add-in. So if you're going to use a Claude inside Excel, then you would need the Pro subscription, which is a minimum. Okay, so there's a comment which says, I don't have Excel through Office 365, but an old version of the standalone Office edition. How can I add Claude into this Excel? Okay, so I believe if you are connected to the Microsoft Microsoft if you connected, if you have a valid Microsoft license, you should be able to do that even without the Office 365. But if you don't, then probably it may not be possible. Okay, yeah, I'm not yet sharing my screen, so I'll be sharing my screen now. So let me first of all show you how does the Claude inside Excel, or Excel ribbon inside the Claude ribbon inside Microsoft Excel looks like. So let me just share my screen. Okay, all right. So right now what I am having is here on the right hand side, on the right hand side of my screen, is the Claude ribbon, which is inside Microsoft Excel. So what I will do is I'll quickly go into the home menu. Okay, the home menu, and here you have an option of add-ins. Okay, so let me just save this file. And when you click on this add-ins option, you can just search the Claude ribbon or the Claude add-in here, and with a matter of a click and a couple of steps, you should be able to install your Claude add-in. Okay, I already have the Claude add-in. However, if you don't have it, you can go inside this add-ins, and if you have a valid Microsoft account, you should be able to install the Claude for Microsoft Excel, and it'll ask you for your Claude license, or it'll ask you for your Claude PIN, which you should be able to get it if you have a paid subscription. Okay, once you enter the Claude PIN or the Claude key, which you have it with the paid Claude account, you should be able to see the same Excel add-in that I see here. So that is how you install Claude inside Excel. First step is that you get a paid Claude subscription. The minimum is a Pro for the Claude Excel add-in. And once you have the paid subscription, then you go inside your Excel, which is a paid Microsoft account or a valid Microsoft account. And inside the Microsoft account, you need to add the Claude add-ins from the add-ins inside the home menu. Okay, you just need to type Claude, and then a couple of steps. The first step would be to just install the add-in just by clicking on it. And then the second step would be to add your Claude key, which is what you will get once you have the Pro subscription. Okay, so with that, you should be able to start with the Claude ribbon inside the Microsoft Excel. Is it possible to add in the Google Sheets as well? I don't think so as of now, because Google has its own Gemini. So with that, I haven't seen I haven't seen the Claude similar add-in inside Google. However, there should be a very similar add-in which is for using Google Gemini inside the Google Sheets. So with that, let me share, right, what are the use cases that we are going to cover today. So I've tried to bring in some of the use cases which are fairly commonly used in FP&A day-to-day scenarios. So I have about three to four use cases that I'll be covering one by one. Okay, now the idea of covering these use cases is just to give you how you can use and leverage Claude yourself. So consider this as, I would say, some of the things that we are doing. However, with these, you might get certain ideas which should be how you can apply Claude in your day-to-day workplace or your workflow. Okay. All right. So I believe the old Office does not have the add-in option. I think it is available. From what I've seen, it is available only after the Microsoft 2016 version. So if you have an older version before 2016, then it may not work from what I have seen. So you need a fairly newer version, however, not the latest. So it could be any version after 2016. So if you have a version before 2016, then it may not work. So let me start with one of the most common use cases in FP&A, which is doing variance analysis, and one of the most popular analysis that we do in FP&A is the price volume mix analysis. So let me just quickly share what do we have here on the screen in terms of the data set. Okay, so fairly standard table where you see three different products. In this case, it's oil and gas company. So they have oil, natural gas, and jet fuel. These are the three products that they have. And what they have here is the production quantity, the pricing, the FX rate at the time when the budget was made, and the revenue number. Okay, so this is what they have as the budget. And let's say you also have the actuals come in, and what you want to do is you want to figure out what is the variance actuals versus budget, and you want to break that down into the price, volume, and mix. Right, that is a very typical analysis or a variance analysis that you do when you're building your decks and when you're doing commentaries in your management reports. So what I will do is I will quickly give Claude a prompt which I have saved here. Okay, and it's fairly straightforward. So consider this, that I'm asking this as I'm giving this instruction to my one of my team members who is working with me, and I'm just asking that person to calculate the price, volume, mix, and the FX variance analysis, actual versus budget, at the product level for the three different products. Okay, so let me just see what happens. I'll press enter here. Okay, I already have a sort of a structure that I want Claude to follow. So I have the budget number, I have the actual number, which is the budget number here, and the actual number here, and I wanted to break it down into the different variances, which is price variance for the three different products, and the volume variance, and then the FX variance and the mix variance. Okay, so let me press enter. Okay, so what Claude usually does is it first reads the entire worksheet. It reads the structure of your worksheet. So first step it will do is it says that I start by reading the data in your existing worksheet, and then once it does that, it will also give you the steps that it will be following. Okay, so now right now you can see the steps detailed, 5 step that it will be following while doing this task. Okay, so it says I'm building the helper columns for the calculation purpose in step number one. Okay, then I will write the variance formulas and then create detailed variance breakdown. Okay, and then also add a waterfall chart. I have not asked for a waterfall chart, but it has picked that up based on my experience of working with Claude. So maybe because of that, it was able to, or maybe because of the nature of the data, it was able to identify the waterfall chart is the best presentation for this. Okay, so these 5 steps typically would take about 2 to 3 minutes, and it'll go step by step. And by the end of this, it will populate this entire table and give you the waterfall chart. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't give the very accurate waterfall chart. However, it does a very good. It does fairly well in terms of the analysis, in terms of the variance analysis. Okay, so now it has moved on to the second step, which is writing variance formulas, and then now it will create the detailed variance breakdowns. So if you notice, it has now populated the different breakdown of the variance between price, volume, FX, and the mix variance, and you can easily use this to create a waterfall chart or a bridge from walking from the budget to the actuals. Okay, so I was just expecting this analysis to be done, and I would have created a chart myself anyways. Okay, but now it's saying let me try to build the waterfall chart as well. So let's see if it is able to do that. It says I'll create a stacked bar chart invisible. So I think it's creating the waterfall chart, which is the old traditional way of doing the waterfall chart, which is not very useful, but let's see what it does. Okay, so it says Claude wants to create the waterfall chart, and this wants to make some changes to the structure. I'll just quickly review this, and I think it has created something in terms of wants to create a waterfall chart, and it's asking me that could it delete the first chart series. So I don't see that chart. Okay, it might be in this sheet, whereas analysis. So it's already created some chart which it feels that it's not the right one. Okay, so I'll say allow once, and I'll ask it to update the chart. Okay, so if you notice on this sheet, the variance analysis sheet, you have the detailed variance analysis breaking down the variance, which was the number here, which was 5.2 million or 5.1 million, okay, into detailed product wise and also nature wise in terms of volume, mix, and price and effects. Okay, so it has broken down that 5.2 million into three different products and four different categories. Okay, that is what we were looking for in terms of the analysis. If I had to do this manually, it would have probably taken me a lot of Excel formulas and maybe a 1 hour of thinking and to be able to get at this. Now Claude can do this in a matter of a couple of minutes. Okay, it's also tried to build a waterfall chart, although it's not done the best of it's not done it's not the best of the waterfall chart, but still it was able to create some form of a waterfall chart here. Okay, so that's the first use case where we gave Claude two data sets. One was the budget and one was the actuals, and then asked it to perform a price volume mix analysis, and it was able to do a fairly decent job of breaking the analysis into different components and then also created a waterfall chart. Okay, I'll take a quick pause here and see if there are any comments and questions. If not, we'll go to the second use case after this. Okay, so Frederick says the verification code cannot be sent to my number. What would be the issue? So there could be many, right? I don't know the exact issue, but it could be many issues on the. It could be one of the several issues on your mobile provider or the service provider. It might be might you might want to check with your mobile service provider. Okay, this is okay. So maybe okay. Now I read the error below that. So maybe somebody has already created a Claude account using this number, or you might have created a Claude account using this number. So you can use your phone only, I think, one number once or twice. I don't remember exactly how many times, but it has a limit on one mobile number. You can create limited number of accounts. Can we use think, sell, chart? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't get what that means. How authentic are these results? So these are fairly accurate. I won't say they are 100% accurate every time. However, you are able to see the formulas, right? So I can see what it has done, and I am able to validate what it has done based on the formulas. So I could always recheck, and I would obviously always recheck all the links that it has created and all the formulas that it has calculated. So although it's fairly accurate, however, you still need to make sure that you validate it once, and it can obviously make mistakes. So the variance analysis sheet is created by Claude, or was it provided by you? So I did not do anything on the variance analysis sheet. It was created by Claude. I just had these two tables here, and I had provided the structure for the walk from the budget to the actuals. Okay, should you use Opus or Sonnet or Haiku? So I have been using both Sonnet and Opus. So this would have worked in Sonnet or Opus either ways. Okay, Opus is a slightly newer model, so it might be slightly faster or it might be better in terms of if you want to do a more complicated calculation. But you could use either Sonnet or Opus. The third one I haven't used it myself, so I don't know if it's a new one or it's an old one. But I've been using either Opus or the Sonnet. It might be a very new one I may not be aware of. Okay, all right. So let me go to the second use case, which is also here open in my. I have it open here in my Excel files. Okay, so here I'm trying to do some analysis in terms of the investment decision that typically FP&A professionals or any finance professionals make in terms of a long-term project where you need to figure out whether the investment in the project would be a worthwhile investment, considering various factors like the NPV, IRR, payback period. Okay, so for a longer term project, typically you need to evaluate the initial investment that you do on day zero, which is the initial investment of the project, and then you need to evaluate whether is it worth comparing it with the future cash inflows. Okay, and you need to be able to discount those future cash inflows using the time value of money concept to be able to create or calculate something called as the NPV. And typically, when the NPV is positive, you say that the project is earning more than the required rate of return, and then you decide to conclude that the project is a good investment in terms of the return on investment versus what your actual discount rate is. Okay, so if you had to do this manually, I would have created a table and I would have had to do a lot of calculations to calculate NPV, IRR using Excel. So let me try using the Claude add in here, and I'll give again a very simple prompt. Okay, let me just copy what I have in the notepad and I'll type that in the Claude ribbon here. Okay, so I'm just asking it to calculate NPV, IRR, payback period, discounted payback period from capital budgeting data, or I can just say from the data and recommend if the investment is worth. I think I don't need this. Okay, so I'll again read this. Calculate NPV, IRR, payback period, discounted payback period, which are the different capital budgeting metrics that I need to know. And I need also a recommendation, not just calculations, but I also need a recommendation if this project is worth investing. So here what I have is the initial investment, which is $100,000 and annual cash flows of $40,000. It's a 5-year project and the discount rate is 16%. Okay, let's see if Claude is able to calculate the NPV IRR and give a recommendation. Okay, so it says that I'll start by reading the data on sheet one, which is this sheet to understand the capital budgeting inputs. Again, it read the data and it has also given you the steps that it will follow. So it says that I'll first build the NPV and IRR calculations. Okay, then build payback period analysis. Okay, then build the discounted payback period analysis. Okay, and then provide the investment recommendation based on all of the calculations that was done in step two, three, and four. okay, and also then format, okay, and give you the analysis in a formatted manner. Okay, again, if I had to do this manually, I would have first needed Excel formulas or Excel knowledge of all of these terms that I need to calculate, and maybe 30 minutes of time. Now, this is happening in, I would say, less than a couple of minutes, and you'll see that it's already through step number one, two, three, and it's going towards step number four now. Okay, let me go to sheet one and show you what it did. So everything after row number 10 was created by Claude right now. Okay, so it created the NPV and IRR. So it calculated the NPV, which is 30,000. Okay, so if you can notice, it has used the NPV formula in Excel and it has perfectly mapped those variables and calculated the NPV. It has also used the IRR formula in Excel and perfectly mapped the variables and calculated the IRR. In terms of the payback period, it was able to calculate that you will recover this $100,000 in 3.5 years if you're having $40,000 every year. Okay, and also now it is performing the discounted payback period calculations, which is step number four. Okay, so once it completes all the calculations, so now the discounted payback period is 4.46 years. Okay, now it has all the different variables to be able to evaluate and give a recommendation. So it has the NPV, IRR, payback period, and the discounted payback period. And let's see how does it make a recommendation. Okay, so I think it noticed it while it was doing the check, it noticed a error in the payback period calculation. So it was, instead of 3.46 years, it's actually 2.5 years. So it identified that and it has now corrected that as well. And the discounted payback period was 3.46 and not 4 point. So once it has completed the calculation, it also ran a check and identified the error and then fixed that error. Now it is giving you the recommendation based on the different parameters. So NPV, since it is more than zero, it says you should accept or you should go ahead with the project. IRR, since it is greater than the discount rate, you should go ahead with the project. Okay, payback period is 2.5 years, which is less than the project duration, so you should go ahead with the project. And the discounted payback period is 3.46 years, which is again fairly lower than the project life, so you should then accept the project. Okay, so it says all four metrics support accepting this investment. The NPV of $30,000 adds IRR of 20, sorry, NPV of $30,000 adds value, IRR of 28% exceeds the 16% hurdle rate. Okay, and the investment pays back in 2.5 years, 3.46 discounted. Okay, which is well within the 5 year project duration. So if you notice, it not only calculated the different metrics that were required, but also it was able to analyze those and it was able to recommend or give a recommendation using the calculations that it did in the previous steps. So this was another use case where we use Claude to calculate the capital budgeting metrics like NPV, IRR, and also make a recommendation in terms of the what are we supposed to do. Okay, so can it prepare consolidated MIS report from multiple P&L extracts? Yes, it can do that. So maybe I can cover one use case on that if we have time. So we can cover one use case on that if we have time today. Okay, so I am late. Please share the files and prompts. So don't worry. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to share all of these prompts and all the videos which you can go through later on of more than 20 use cases. So if you stay back till the end, you will get the access to the all the prompts and all the videos. Okay, where the results are reviewed and revised, does it provide complete calculation again? So so I'm making sure I read it properly. So does it provide the complete calculation? So yeah, it did provide the complete calculation, right? Everything after the row number 12 was built by Claude, and this is a detailed calculation, which I would have done manually as well. Okay, so I think we have completed two use cases. Let me show you the third use case again. Let me go to the next one. Okay, so the next one is again a very, I would say, a very important financial modeling function that a lot of FP&A professionals would do on a daily basis, or I would say at least on a very frequent basis, if not daily basis. Okay, so here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a sensitivity analysis table. So let me just quickly give you the background of the data. I have a financial model here where it has some variables or some drivers. So this is a blog revenue model. Let's assume that I have a blog, and by writing articles, I can also publish advertisements on that blog, and that way I can also generate some revenue. Okay, so the revenue from the blog will depend on all of these variables. One is the website visitors. The more the number of visitors, the more the advertising revenue. the more the click-through rate, meaning the people clicking on the advertisements, the more will be the advertising revenues. And similarly, you have different variables. Based on these variables, I have created a model which is giving me the revenue from the website blog. Okay, so fairly straightforward. There are two main components. One is the CPM revenues, and the other is the CPC revenue. I'll not get into the details, but the CPM revenues is typically the revenue that you earn when the website visitor is just looking at the ad and not clicking on it, while the CPC revenue means that the website visitor not just looked at the ad but also went on and clicked on the ad. Okay, so there you tend to earn more revenues as a advertiser. Okay, so this is a mini block table, and what I want to know right now is what will be the different revenues that I can earn at different number of visitors and also the different click-through rate. Okay, so these are the two variables I need to test my model on. If not for Claude, I would have used the data table what if analysis function and done this. Okay, let me see if we can do this using the Claude in Excel. Okay, so I'll just again go to the prompt and I'll copy the prompt that I wanted to use. Again, not nothing very uh, nothing very technical in the prompt. I'm just asking it to do what I would have asked my assistant or my team member. Okay, so perform sensitivity analysis on the website blog revenue model and update the sensitivity analysis table using the data set on the sheet. So I want it to use this data set and then update the sensitivity analysis table. Okay, so let me see if it is able to do that. Here again, it'll start by reading the table and it'll start by reading the data on the table and the structure of the worksheet. Okay, so it was able to identify all the drivers. It was able to identify the sensitivity analysis table structure that I also built. And now based on the that it has given me the steps. And if you notice, it has also populated the table very quickly. Not only did it build the table, but it was also able to give me some conditional formatting so that I can quickly be able to see and read the table. Okay, so let me just see what the Claude has done. Okay, so it's used Excel formulas and using the different Excel formulas, it was able to build the entire table. If you notice, these are very fairly detailed formulas. If I had to do this manually, I would have probably taken a little bit of time. Okay, I'll take a quick pause here and see if there are any comments or any questions. Okay, so let me go to one more use case. Okay, so what if you change the data? So if you change the data, you should be able to. So let's try that. Let me quickly share the screen again. So if I change this data, obviously these are dynamic formulas, so they'll get updated. So let me change this to maybe 800,000. Okay, and this typically would get updated. So I need to make sure that my formulas are on manual. So let me go and see other calculations. Okay, so if I have these on automatic, they usually will get updated. Okay, so I updated it here, but I also need to update this section because it is using this, right? So I need to update this. So if I say update this to 800,000, the table will get updated automatically because these are all formulas linked to the model. Okay, so let me go to the last use case for today and let me show that to you. So we looked at one use case on price volume mix analysis, one on capital budgeting, and one on sensitivity analysis. Okay, so I think one of you wanted to see a use case on consolidation and being able to prepare a report from various inputs. So let me cover that. Okay, so let me go to one of my use cases. Okay, so this is where I have different works. Let me first delete all of this data. So let's assume that I have five different business units. Okay, so in this case, it is a hotel where I have five different properties and I have five different P&L with me, or I have five different budget templates with me, which I have collected or which the different business units have given to me. And what I want to do is also let me delete this Claude log. Okay, so I have the P&L submission or the budget submission from the different business units. And what I need to do now is I want to consolidate all of these in one sheet and then present this to the management. Okay, so I need to create a department wise, column wise report where I get inputs from all of these different sheets. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll again go to Claude and I'll say link, or I could say consolidate on link the consolidated MIS sheet from the BU1 to BU5 sheets. Okay, so fairly straightforward. I'm asking to just consolidate from different worksheets in the Excel file. It'll follow the same set of process. Okay, it'll read the different Excel sheets in the workbook and then give me the steps that it'll follow and then start following those steps one by one. Okay, again, it is giving me first I'll link the revenue line items and link the department costs. So it'll go line by line and then it'll start updating or linking the numbers. So if you can see right now, it is populating those departmental wise revenue section from each of those units or business unit sheets. Okay, so it completed the revenues. Now it is working on the cost. Okay, so it took a matter of less than, I would say, a couple of minutes to consolidate five different business units. Right now, I had only five. Imagine if you have 20, 25, 50. Okay, it would save substantial amount of time in linking the sheets or formulating the sheets, whatever the way you are doing the consolidation. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share today. So I've covered four different use cases. So we started with the price volume mix, then we looked at capital budgeting, then sensitivity analysis, and then finally the consolidation of different business units. What I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen now and we'll see if there are comments and questions, and also we'll go back to Dhawal for the slide share.
Thanks, Asif. I'll share my slides. We can
Yeah.
reserve some time for questions in the end. Cool. So after looking at some use cases in Claude, so do you realize how the FP&A level is going to change with AI coming in, right? So it's important that you prepare yourself for FP&A and also grab those opportunities that are coming in the futuristic AI-driven FP&A roles. So what we have done at FPI is we have done extensive surveys with CFOs, and today CFOs are looking for five critical skill sets. Now, what are those five critical skill sets? First is the core FP&A concepts: your budgeting, forecasting, management reporting, variance analysis. All of these are your core FP&A concepts. Then comes financial modeling. Financial modeling not related to investment banking or valuation, but it's very specific to FP&A. Revenue models, cost models, scenario planning, sensitivity analysis. All of those things are financial modeling specifically for FP&A. And then comes data storytelling. You, as finance professionals, can analyze 10,000 lines of Excel sheets, but how do you translate that into an insight and send it in a one page or a one slide impactful story to the business teams so that they can take decisions? That is what is data storytelling. And then comes finance business partnering. It's about your business acumen. It's your ability to build strong cross functional relationships, collaborate with various cross functional stakeholders in the company, and help them truly take business decisions or help them with their business decisions like a coach. And then, last but not the least, leveraging all the technology and AI developments that are happening in the finance field to become far more effective and efficient in your finance roles. So, what we have done at FPI is that over the last 3 years, we have built a solid certification program. It's called Certified Global FP&A Professional Program, the CGFPA program. It's a global FP&A certification built and delivered directly by CFOs and FP&A practitioners. Yeah. It has 10 comprehensive modules, which we'll talk about it in a while, all through experiential sessions, real life looking like case studies. We cover more than 25 plus case studies in this program across various sectors, group discussions, class activities, experiments, stakeholder experiments. All of those things are covered in this program. You'll also be part of a global alumni network where CGFP program has been taken by students from more than 25 countries so far. You'll get sessions with a personalized career coach. You'll also get some tailored placement support, which is basically your resume review, your interview preparation, your mock interview prep. All of that is covered in the placement support. We also have our own portal. It's called fpnajobs.com, where we're trying to consistently bring in recruiters and FP&A professionals on one single platform. You also get access to monthly Q&A sessions where you can clarify any questions, queries directly from the faculty. And then we have external speaker sessions where globally top FP&A experts, digital transformation experts, tool implementation partners, all of those come to FPI once a month for sharing their experiences and insights. And we've done almost like more than 50 sessions like those. Again, we continue to do these sessions and you'll get access to all of those things as well. And everything happens through the comfort of your home, through our best-in-class LMS and the mobile app where you can access all our resources and recordings and the video lectures. And You also have, the live lessons are conducted on Zoom, so you can take it from the comfort of your home at a convenient time. So the CGFPA curriculum involves 10 modules. I'll let Asif cover the first 5 modules that you see on the left, and then I'll talk about the modules on the right.
So let me talk about the introduction, starting from the introduction module. So what we do there is we introduce how does a FP&A function look like in different setups. So right from large companies to a mid-sized company to fast-growing startups. How does a FP&A calendar look like? What are the different activities you see during the calendar month, right from the first week to the second week through the end of the month? And how does that month-end cycle look like for the FP&A? Then what we have is the core budgeting forecasting module, which where we cover budgeting, forecasting, tools and techniques using case studies and examples. So budgeting techniques including top-down, bottoms-up, zero-based budgeting, forecasting techniques including driver-based forecasting, statistical methods of doing forecasting, AI models which we use for forecasting, rolling forecast, so different techniques on forecasting. And do also a capstone project where we give you a real life like company data where you need to prepare the end-to-end budget and then present the final budget presentation to the CFO. So that is the budgeting forecasting module. And the next one is the most popular these days with the developments in AI. So the AI and finance and FP&A module is where we cover all of the AI related tools and technologies. And most importantly, how do you implement different use cases? The ones which we saw today were some of them. However, we have more than 30 plus use cases where we use different tools, including Claude, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, agentic AI tools, where there are very specific tools which are used for specific purposes. Like there's a tool which we only use for reconciliation. There is a AI tool which we use for forecasting. So all of those are covered in the AI for finance and FP&A module, and we refresh that module every quarter. And the next update is going to happen in May, which is the AI for finance and FP&A module. Next is a management reporting module. Management reporting, again, one of the core modules where we cover management reporting frameworks, commonly used FP&A reports, variance analysis frameworks, recharges and allocations, and all of that is done using examples, case studies from real life, real practitioners who have built those case studies. Then you have the financial modeling, which is one of my favorite modules and an important skill that you should have as an FP&A professional. We cover some of the topics we already saw today. So scenario planning, sensitivity analysis, how do you build revenue models for different industries? How do you do capital budgeting, the NPV IRR that we saw today? How do you do cash flow forecasting? So all of that is covered in the financial modeling for FP&A module, which are very specific use cases from the FP&A financial modeling using best practices in financial modeling, applying it to the FP&A day-to-day functions. I'll take a pause here and let Dhawal cover the other modules that you see on the screen.
Thanks, Asif. The modules that you see on the right, so there is data analytics module where, see, one thing that is common is that in your FP&A roles, you will be dealing with large sets of data, whether it is financial data or operational data. So that is where we are covering all the popular tools like Power BI, Power Query, SQL. Now, from the next cohort, we are also introducing Python and Tableau. We don't claim to make you an expert in these tools, but at least we'll take you to a level where you are comfortable using them in your day-to-day FP&A function. Then comes financial analysis. Now, financial analysis, most of you must be thinking is limited to ratio analysis, but it is not. There are a number of different kind of analysis which a CFO or an FP&A head looks at from an internal perspective, right? This horizontal analysis, vertical analysis, profitability, mix, all of those things are covered in the financial analysis module. Then comes storytelling and presentations. This is where we are covering storytelling best practices, presentation best practices. How do you build a CFO presentation? What to present to senior executives in the company? What do you present to a mid or a tactical level executives in the company? How do you build a strong narrative? All of those things are covered in the storytelling and presentations module. Then comes strategy. Now, strategy is again an interesting module, so where we are covering all the popular strategy tools and frameworks, and also show you how they are linked with FP&A or how FP&A can contribute to these strategic decisions as well. And then finally comes business partnering. So business partnering through good 7 to 8 real life use cases, real life case studies that Asif and I have done in our experience. We are explaining to you how you can truly collaborate with various cross-functional team members, whether it is HR, business development, with the CEO, with the plant finance, and then how do you truly add value to the business. So that is what is finance business partnering module. So don't just think about CGFP as a course. It is 20 years of our blood, sweat, and tears packed into a 6-month program. Can easily fast track your FP&A career by a few years. We are also covering more than 50 plus examples, 10 plus tools, almost 10 plus frameworks, and we also top it up with a guided capstone project where you'll be preparing an end-to-end company budget and a budget presentation as well. Okay, so in terms of tools, we're covering all these tools: Power BI, Power Query, Python, Tableau, and SQL, and in fact, all the AI tools also we're covering so that you are ready for a futuristic FP&A role, right? And all of the use cases that we're covering in these tools are not some generic, how can you write your email better kind of a solution. It's more specifically tailored to FP&A. Some of the examples that you saw today are similar examples, but much more dense and deeper examples in the CGFPA program. Now, what is the eligibility for this program? A minimum of bachelor's degree or a global equivalent in finance, accounting, or business. You don't need to have prior finance or accounting knowledge, although it is desirable, but you may not have that as well. Alternatively, you may have your professional qualifications like CA, CMA, CPA, or any equivalent accounting qualification of your respective country. We are also accredited by CPD UK. Now, how do you get the CGFPA award? There are 3 things that will get you the CGFPA award. One is sorry, I'm just trying to lower my hand. So one thing that is 3 things. One is you need to attend at least 50% of the classes live. The live classes happen on Saturdays, either 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST, depending on the cohort. The current cohort which just started last week is 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. IST. The next cohort will be 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. And Sunday will be the tool track. So the core modules are covered on Saturdays, and Sundays as the tool track where we are covering all those tools as well. You need to attend at least 50% of the classes live for the core modules. And somewhere in month number 5, you'll be submitting a capstone project, which is an end-to-end budget presentation for a CFO. And all the guidance around the capstone project will be given to you. It does not take weeks together for you to put together the capstone project. It involves about 2 to 3 hours of dedicated time commitment. And then finally, after you submit the capstone, you're eligible for the final examination. The final examination is a 2 hours proctored live examination, which has multiple choice questions, 50 questions, 100 marks. Okay, we use a exam platform, a third-party exam platform for that, so that we can maintain that independence. And once you clear the exam with at least 50% passing marks, you get the CGFPA certificate from FP&A Professionals Institute. Now, the ROI for a program like this, I leave it to your imagination. The course fee investment in this program is USD 1795, which also includes the examination. One examination is covered in that. And then you can also have an option to pay it over 5 months. The course duration will be for 6 months, where we are doing the live lectures on Saturdays and Sundays. Totally about 3 to 4 hours of your weekly time commitment is required. Sometimes we might give you a little bit of pre-reading or a case study to go through and come back, so which will take about half an hour to 45 minutes of your time. We don't want to waste time on the basics in the classroom, so we might expect you to do some homework on your end. But totally about 4 hours of your time commitment is required from a weekly perspective. So again, this is designed for busy executives. We know all of you are busy with your finance and accounting roles. All of you have month-end, quarter ends. But trust me, 6 months will go in like this. So the date that you see on the screen is the orientation date for the current ongoing batch, which already started on the 4th of April, which is last week. The first session got over on the 4th of April. So you can join the waitlist for the next cohort. Asif will share the brochure and the application link in the chat box. However, if somebody wants to do it urgently, that there are 1 or 2 seats left in the current cohort. If you have that urgency, please DM Asif or me, or reach out to us after the program and after the webinar, and then we'll be happy to help you and accommodate in the current cohort as well. But please do join the waitlist, which will be starting in June 2026. That is when the next cohort is starting, which is cohort 9. Again, there are tons and testimonials of this. There have been dozens of people who have got FP&A roles. They have been able to implement a lot of things that they have learned in their current FP&A roles or current finance roles. So you can reach out to any of our alumni, and then they'll tell you how the program has been for them. My recommendation to all of you would be that please complete the application form and please be in the race. Once you complete the application form, which is completely free of cost, our academic counselors will reach out to you. They'll check your eligibility. And you can also ask them for demo lectures, previous alumni phone numbers, whatever due diligence you want to do about the program, please feel free to do it. Don't just go for it because we are telling you. Okay, so talk to any of our alumni and they'll tell you how the program has been valuable for them. FP&Ajobs.com is our latest initiative. Please make sure that you create a detailed profile on FP&Ajobs.com. This is where we keep sharing opportunities and the recruiters in our circle keep sharing opportunities. Again, just to reiterate, the next cohort will be starting in June. You can join the waitlist by filling in the application form. If you have that urgency to start the CGFPA program right away, feel free to DM us after the program, after the webinar, and then we would be happy to help you to accommodate in the current cohort, which has started last week, which is on 4th of April. So just one session is over for the current cohort, which is cohort 8. Awesome. So with that, I think we will take a pause here. Asif and I are always available on LinkedIn, so we are fairly quick to respond. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And hopefully we'll see you in one of the programs. Keep learning, keep growing.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye bye.